Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the world beneath your dinner plate, the realm behind your cravings, and the science stitched into every bite you take. The truth is, you're not eating food, you're eating chemistry, macronutrients, and micronutrients, tangled together like a slow-burning fuse inside your cells. You've been told breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but what if that golden toast, that smoothie bowl, that splash of almond milk in your coffee, was built on a myth? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know where you're tuning in from and what time your body finally decided it needed sleep. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up to an alarm that feels like a crime against humanity. Your stomach isn't asking for food, it's just annoyed you're vertical. Still, there's pressure to obey the gospel of breakfast. The cereal aisle alone makes you feel like you're failing a nutrition pop quiz. Whole grain one box screams, no added sugar, another boasts, while the fine print whispers, processed within an inch of its life. Here's the dirty little secret. Your body doesn't actually need to eat the second it wakes up. Not unless you're a high-performance athlete or a hummingbird. What you're experiencing isn't hunger. It's a cascade of hormonal resets, namely cortisol, a natural wake-up stimulant. And here comes the kicker. Cortisol also spikes blood sugar. So when you shove a croissant into that equation, you're basically hitting fast forward on the insulin ride. Roller coaster, no seatbelt. Scientists still argue whether eating within an hour of waking truly enhances metabolic function, or whether it's an industrial-era leftover from when humans needed fuel to mine coal, not scroll emails. But what's clear is this. Breakfast became a business before it became a science. Picture this. 1944, the United States government launches a campaign declaring breakfast the key to national vitality. Why? Because soldiers needed calories. And guess who funded the ads? Cereal companies. You've probably been manipulated since kindergarten by cartoon tigers and leprechauns who promised part of a balanced breakfast. Here's where it gets spicy. Your metabolic rate isn't static. It doesn't just start up because you munched on a banana. Your basal metabolic rate, BMR, burns through energy even as you lie motionless in bed. Breathing, repairing, dreaming, that takes fuel too, but not always the kind wrapped in granola bars. Fringe nutritionists have long argued that skipping breakfast can boost focus and fat oxidation. They're not wrong, exactly. Intermittent fasting taps into stored energy, often leading to clearer mental performance in the morning. But here's the catch. It doesn't work for everyone. Your biology is a mood ring. For some, skipping breakfast is a revelation. For others, it's a ticket to hangry meltdowns and passive-aggressive emails. Let's slow things down and walk through what your body's actually craving first thing in the morning. Water. You lose about a liter overnight through breathing and sweat. Your cells are dehydrated. Your blood is slightly thicker. Your brain? Imagine a raisin that needs replumping. And yet people reach for caffeine before hydration, compounding the issue. Your first real nutrient of the day should be H2O, with a pinch of sea salt if you're feeling adventurous. Why salt? Because sodium helps retain water where it counts. Fun fringe fact, some elite athletes swear by salt shots first thing in the morning. Tastes like tears, feels like clarity. Let's talk about why you eat it all. Macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins and fats are the heavy lifters. They give you calories, energy, heat. They're like gas in the tank. Micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, are the quiet engineers. They don't give you calories, but they make the machinery work. No magnesium, muscle cramps. No iron, chronic fatigue. No B12, brain fog that makes you forget what fog is. The problem is breakfast has become a macronutrient party with zero micronutrient supervision. A stack of pancakes is like hiring a marching band when what you needed was a plumber. And the timing? It matters. Eating a high-carb breakfast spikes glucose and may lead to a crash a few hours later. You know the feeling. 9 a.m. enthusiasm, 11:30 a.m. existential dread. Pairing carbs with fat or protein slows the absorption, keeps blood sugar more stable. That's why eggs and avocado have quietly overthrown cereal in the wellness kingdom. But again, this isn't universal law. Some people thrive on oatmeal and berries, others need bacon grease and silence. Your body has a memory. It adapts to patterns. Change your input, and over time your cravings evolve. It's biology playing jazz. Let's zoom in on a bizarre but real phenomenon, morning anorexia. No, not the clinical disorder. We're talking about the phenomenon where people wake up with zero appetite. Scientists still argue whether this is a genetic predisposition, a hormonal imbalance, or a learned behavior. Some speculate it ties into disrupted circadian rhythms. If you eat late at night, your body may still be digesting as you wake. Others suggest cortisol suppresses appetite in certain individuals. Either way, it means breakfast isn't one size fits all. Quirky fact: in some Scandinavian countries, fermented fish is considered a breakfast delicacy. Imagine waking up and being greeted by pickled herring. Your gut microbiome might scream or cheer. Here's the kicker: whether you eat or not, your body is already running. Your liver has been releasing glucose. Your stomach has been producing acid. Your digestive system is expecting something. But it's like a party guest. You can't decide whether to let it in or pretend you're not home. So, to eat or not to eat? If you're going to eat breakfast, focus on balance, not marketing labels. Something with fiber, fat, and protein. Greek yogurt with chia, eggs with greens, a smoothie with nut butter, and a sprinkle of cynicism toward that protein powder you still can't pronounce. But if you're skipping, hydrate. Maybe take a light walk. Let your body wake up without the digestive drama. And remember, nutrition isn't dogma, it's dialogue. You're constantly negotiating with your body. Some days it'll demand pancakes, other days it'll beg for silence and black coffee. Either way, breakfast is no longer mandatory, it's optional. Like socks with sandals, choose wisely. You're standing in front of the mirror, flexing, just a little. The lighting's forgiving, your biceps cooperate, and for a moment you believe, that's protein's promise, isn't it? Muscle, strength, definition. But the story is much messier than that. Protein isn't just the hero of your post-gym Instagram story. It's the drama queen of macronutrients, overachieving, misunderstood, and constantly oversupplemented. Your body doesn't just use it to bulk up, it uses it to build enzymes, repair tissue, manufacture hormones, carry oxygen, and regulate immune response. You're basically made of it. You're walking meat and beans. Let's start with the basics. Protein is made of amino acids. Think of them like Lego bricks. There are 20 different types, and 9 of them are essential, which means your body can't make them on its own. You have to get them from food. Chicken, fish, tofu, eggs, beans. These are your building materials. Eat well, and you're a cathedral. Eat poorly, and well, you're a garden shed during a windstorm. But here's where it gets petty. Your body doesn't store protein like it does carbs, as glycogen, or fats as well fat. If you don't use it when you eat it, it doesn't wait around politely. It's either repurposed into energy, or converted into fat. Yes, fat. All that grilled chicken can still become love handles if the rest of your diet is out of whack. And yet people worship protein like it's sacred. Walk into any gym, and it's protein shakes, protein bars, protein cookies, protein-infused water. It's in everything now, even cereal. But too much protein doesn't equal more muscle. That's like pouring gasoline on your car and expecting it to turn into a Ferrari. It doesn't work that way. Scientists still argue whether high-protein diets have long-term health consequences. Some studies suggest excessive intake can strain kidneys, especially in those with underlying issues. Others claim it improves satiety, helps manage weight, and reduces blood pressure. The truth, like most things in nutrition, it depends on you. Let's get specific. The average sedentary adult needs about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's not much. But if you're active, lifting weights, recovering from injury, or trying to gain muscle, you might need anywhere from 1.2 to 2.2 grams per kilogram. The window's wide because your body is a moving target. What works for your roommate might leave you hangry and flat. Here's the real kicker. Not all proteins are created equal. You've got complete proteins, those that contain all 9 essential amino acids. Animal sources tend to win here. Eggs, dairy, meat. Then you've got incomplete proteins, usually plant-based, that need a little help from each other. Rice and beans, tag team. Peanut butter and whole wheat bread, classic duo. Your body doesn't mind waiting a few hours for the matchup. It's patient like that. Quirky side note, spirulina, that swampy green algae smoothie booster. It's technically a complete protein. So is quinoa. So yes, you could survive on protein-rich pond scum and trendy grain bowls. But would you enjoy it? That's between you and your blender. Now let's talk timing. The anabolic window, that mythical 30-minute period after working out where you must consume protein or your muscles vanish into dust. Sound familiar? It's mostly marketing. Research shows that while nutrient timing can influence muscle repair, your total daily protein intake is far more important. In other words, if you hit your protein goals by the end of the day, your muscles won't ghost you. Still, spreading protein across your meals helps with muscle protein synthesis. Think 20-40 grams per meal, not just dinner. Your body's not a hoarder, it prefers regular deliveries. And what about plant-based folks? Plant proteins tend to be lower in leucine, an amino acid that kicks off muscle building. That doesn't mean you can't grow muscle on plants, it just means you may need slightly more total protein, and a bit more planning. Tofu, lentils, tempeh, chickpeas, they all add up. Plus, fiber's a nice bonus. Ever seen a constipated bodybuilder? Exactly. And yes, we're going to talk about protein powders. They're convenient, fast, hyper-absorbable, but not mandatory. Whey protein derived from milk is a favorite due to its high leucine content and quick digestion. Casein, also dairy-based, digests slower, making it popular before bed. Then you've got soy, pea, rice, hemp, vegan options for the morally and digestively sensitive. Here's the shady part. The supplement industry isn't well regulated. Independent lab tests have found protein powders contaminated with heavy metals, like lead and arsenic. Not exactly gains-friendly. Always buy from reputable sources, even if they cost more. Your kidneys will thank you. Scientists still argue whether protein supplements outperform whole foods. Most agree they're useful, especially for athletes or those with higher needs, but they shouldn't replace meals. No one's thriving on 3 shakes and a dream. Let's wrap this up with a slightly uncomfortable truth. Your body will break down its own muscle for energy if you're not eating enough protein, especially during weight loss. It's called catabolism. It's dramatic, and unless you enjoy losing lean mass while dieting, you need to keep your protein intake up. That's why high-protein diets are so popular during cutting phases. They preserve muscle, keep you full, and make your metabolism a little less moody. Final weird tidbit. There's a condition called rabbit starvation, or protein poisoning. If you eat almost nothing but lean protein like rabbit meat without enough fat or carbs, you can actually get sick. Nausea, diarrhea, death. Your body needs balance, not brute force. So yes, protein matters, but it's not a miracle. It's a tool. And like all tools, it can fix things, or create a mess when misused. Fat has a PR problem. For decades it's been painted as the villain, clogging arteries, expanding waistlines, lurking in fries and frosting like some dietary Voldemort. But that reputation, mostly outdated science and marketing spin. The truth is, you're built on fat, literally. It cushions your organs, fuels your brain, balances your hormones, and keeps you warm when the air conditioning is way too aggressive. You might not love your love handles, but without body fat, you wouldn't survive a week. Let's take it back to basics. Fats or lipids come in different types, some helpful, some a bit sketchy, and some still wrapped in scientific controversy. The good ones, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, found in things like olive oil, avocados, nuts, fatty fish. These fats are like the quiet geniuses in the back of the class, fixing your cholesterol profile and reducing inflammation without ever demanding credit. Then there's saturated fat, the controversial middle child, found in butter, cheese, red meat, and coconut oil. For years, it was public enemy number 1. Blamed for heart disease, banned from food pyramids. But recent studies suggest it's not the sole villain it was once made out to be. Scientists still argue whether saturated fat is inherently harmful, or whether its effects depend on what it replaces in your diet. Swap sugar for butter? Might be better. Swap olive oil for butter? Maybe not. And finally, the real black sheep, trans fats. Artificially created to make processed foods shelf-stable, these fats are the nutritional equivalent of rust. They increase bad cholesterol, lower good cholesterol, and have no redeeming qualities. Thankfully, they've been banned or severely limited in many countries, but they still lurk in older food products, ready to ruin your arteries from beyond the grave. Let's talk function. Fat is the most calorie-dense macronutrient, about 9 calories per gram compared to 4 for carbs and protein. That makes it an efficient energy source. Think long-distance fuel, not quick-burn kindling. If carbs are the lighter fluid, fat is the slow-burning log. Your brain? It's about 60% fat by dry weight, and it loves omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA, which plays a major role in memory, cognition, and overall brain health. Ever feel foggy after a week of low-fat dieting? That's not a coincidence. Your neurons are probably sulking. Omega-3s are found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines. There are plant-based sources too, chia seeds, flax, walnuts, but they come in the form of ALA, which your body has to convert into the more useful DHA and EPA. And spoiler, it's bad at that. Conversion rates hover around 5 to 10%. So unless you're mainlining chia pudding, you're better off adding a fish oil supplement or just eating the real thing, bones and all. Quirky tidbit. In some Arctic communities, traditional diets consisted of 70–80% fat, mainly from seal, whale, and fish, and they thrived for generations with virtually no heart disease. That threw a wrench into the fat death narrative. Scientists are still debating how much of that was genetic adaptation versus the quality of the fat consumed. Now let's zoom in on cholesterol, the misunderstood celebrity of the fat world. You've got LDL, low-density lipoprotein, often labeled bad, and HDL, high-density, dubbed good. LDL delivers cholesterol to your cells. HDL takes the leftovers back to the liver. It's not that LDL is evil. It's when there's too much, and it starts piling up in your arteries like slow-motion debris. Think of HDL as the cleanup crew. You want both working, just not fighting. Fun fact, dietary cholesterol doesn't impact blood cholesterol as much as once thought. Eggs, once demonized, are now basically rehabbed heroes. Your liver produces cholesterol on its own. Eat less, it makes more. Eat more, it makes less. It's like a thermostat. Unless your genes are rebellious, then all bets are off. Now, what about fat and body fat? Eating fat doesn't automatically make you fat. That's like saying reading books makes you a librarian. Weight gain is about energy surplus. Eating more than you burn. Yes, fat is calorie dense, but it's also satiating. It slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and keeps you feeling full. That's why adding avocado to your toast doesn't just make it Instagram worthy. It makes you less likely to snack 40 minutes later on sadness and chips. Let's talk about the ketogenic diet, the cultish high-fat, low-carb craze that sends people into metabolic ketosis. In ketosis, your body burns fat for fuel, producing molecules called ketones. People report mental clarity, rapid fat loss, reduced hunger, but it's not a magic spell. The weight loss usually comes from reduced calorie intake and water loss. Plus, keto can be hard to sustain. Social events get awkward. Bread becomes a fantasy. And your breath? Weirdly metallic. Thank you, acetone. Fringe detail. There are exogenous ketones sold as supplements, claiming to mimic ketosis without the diet. Scientists still argue whether these are effective fat-burning aids or just overpriced metabolic placebos. Let's slide into the underrated hero of fat metabolism, your gallbladder. It stores bile, a fluid made by the liver that emulsifies fat, breaking it down into digestible droplets. No gallbladder? Fat digestion gets tricky. You can still live a full life, but large, greasy meals might turn into gastrointestinal roller coasters. You've been warned. And what about cooking oils? They're a battlefield of opinions. Olive oil, great for low-heat cooking and salad drizzles. Coconut oil, controversial due to its saturated fat content. Canola, neutral but highly processed. Vegetable oils like soybean and corn, often rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which aren't inherently bad, but may promote inflammation when consumed in excess, especially without enough omega-3s to balance the scale. Your ancestors ate a fat ratio closer to 1.1 between omega-6 and omega-3. Today, it's often 20.1. That imbalance could be one reason chronic inflammation has become a modern epidemic, linked to everything from joint pain to depression. So what's the takeaway? Fat isn't bad. It's misunderstood. It's essential. It's complex. And when chosen wisely, it's therapeutic. But go too low fat, and you risk hormonal chaos, dry skin, brittle nails, brain fog, and a libido that ghosts you. Fat is a carrier for fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Without it, you're not absorbing them. That salad without dressing? You just created a micronutrient hostage situation. So the next time someone tells you fat is bad, smile politely and eat your damn guacamole. Your mid-afternoon, dragging, brain fog, cravings. That second coffee didn't hit like it used to. So you reach for something carby, maybe a granola bar, maybe toast, maybe an entire sleeve of biscuits that were supposed to be for guests. Your body perks up, temporarily, and then the slump, again, Welcome to your complicated codependent relationship with carbohydrates. If protein is the drama queen, and fat is the misunderstood poet, carbs are the manipulative ex-steps, sometimes loving, sometimes toxic, always hard to quit. But the truth is you need them, just maybe not the way you've been taught. Carbohydrates are your body's preferred fuel source. They break down into glucose, which your cells use for energy. Your brain, it runs almost exclusively on glucose, unless you're in ketosis. That sudden spark of mental clarity after a banana, that's glucose doing its thing. But like any good power source, timing and type matter. Let's talk about the types. There are simple carbs, sugars and complex carbs, starches and fiber. Simple carbs break down fast. That's great if you're sprinting from a lion or finishing a workout. Not so great if you're parked on a couch playing existential chess with Netflix. Complex carbs digest slower, thanks to their fiber content. They provide sustained energy and help keep your blood sugar steady. Think oats, brown rice, lentils, vegetables. Boring? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. Now fiber, the unsung hero. You don't digest it. Your gut bacteria do. And they throw a party every time you give them something fibrous. Soluble fiber, found in foods like oats, beans, and apples, dissolves in water and helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol. Insoluble fiber, like in whole grains and veggies, adds bulk and keeps things moving down south. Here's the quirky part. Fiber isn't technically a nutrient, it's more of a tool, but without it, your colon becomes grumpy, your microbiome sulks, and your poops resemble question marks more than exclamation points. Carbs also influence your mood. They help your body produce serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter. That's why comfort food actually feels comforting. Scientists still argue whether low-carb diets can cause mood instability long-term, or whether that's just the psychological pain of watching friends eat pizza while you chew on cauliflower. And yes, carbs make you retain water. For every gram of glycogen stored in your liver or muscles, your body holds on to about 3 grams of water. That's why low-carb diets lead to rapid weight loss in the first week. It's not fat, it's hydration, which is why stepping on the scale during a keto cleanse is basically stepping on a very expensive lie. Let's go fringe for a moment. Resistant starch, found in foods like cooked then cooled potatoes, underripe bananas, and legumes. Resistant starch resists digestion and acts more like fiber. It feeds your gut bacteria, improves insulin sensitivity, and may even help with fat loss. Some researchers call it a prebiotic miracle. Others call it cold potatoes. Science is still catching up. Carbohydrates also influence insulin, the hormone that helps shuttle glucose into cells. Too many fast-digesting carbs too often? You flood the bloodstream with sugar, spike insulin, then crash hard. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. That's the real danger of the modern diet. Not carbs themselves, but the constant tsunami of refined low-nutrient carbs eaten alone and often. Let's revisit breakfast for a second. Cereal, white toast, juice, that's sugar on sugar on sugar. Your blood sugar peaks, then crashes by 10 a.m., leaving you jittery and hungry. Add fat or protein, and you slow that spike. That's why toast with peanut butter works better than jam alone. That's why pairing your fruit with nuts can save your afternoon. So how much carbohydrate do you actually need? It depends. The dietary guidelines suggest 45 to 65% of your daily calories from carbs. That's a lot, but athletes, they might need even more. Sedentary folks, probably less. People on ketogenic diets get by with less than 50 grams a day. Your needs fluctuate with your activity, stress, sleep, and hormonal state. Your body can technically survive without carbs. It can make glucose from protein and fat through a process called gluconeogenesis. But survive isn't the same as thrive. Carbs are efficient. They support high-intensity exercise, mental performance, and satiety. Demonizing them is like hating fire because it can burn the house down. It's not the fire, it's the lack of control. Quirky carb fact. Japanese sweet potatoes contain a special kind of starch that some researchers believe contributes to the Okinawans' longevity. These people live well into their 90s, often on high-carb diets. It's not the carbs, it's the context. Whole, unprocessed, eaten mindfully, not mainlined through a vending machine. And what about fruit? The sugar fearmongers want you to believe fruit is just nature's candy. But fruit comes with fiber, water, antioxidants, and phytochemicals that offset the sugar hit. Your body knows what to do with an orange. It gets confused when it meets orange soda. Then there's glycemic index, GI, a scale that ranks how quickly carbs raise blood sugar. High GI foods like white bread or rice shoot it up fast. Low GI foods like lentils or sweet potatoes do it slowly. But GI isn't perfect. It doesn't account for portion size or food combinations. Add fat or protein, and the GI of a meal changes. Eat white rice with avocado and salmon, much slower glucose response than rice alone. Let's talk about exercise. Before a workout, carbs provide energy. After, they help replenish glycogen stores. Especially important if you train daily. That post-workout bagel? Not a sin. It's fuel. Pair it with protein and you've got muscle recovery on lock. There's also carb cycling, a dietary strategy where you alternate high-carb and low-carb days to match your activity level. It's complex, strategic, popular with bodybuilders. But if you're not training intensely, it might just stress you out. Scientists still argue whether low-carb diets are superior for fat loss long-term. Most studies show it's the calorie deficit, not the carb count, that drives weight loss. But low-carb diets do tend to reduce hunger in some people, making it easier to eat less overall. Others, though, they end up dreaming about bread and binging by Thursday. Your relationship with carbs is deeply personal, influenced by your genetics, activity, hormones, and gut bacteria. Some people metabolize them effortlessly. Others spike like they just drank syrup. There's no universal truth, only what works for your weird, beautiful metabolism. So next time someone says carbs are bad, hand them a baked potato, smile politely and whisper, "It's not you, it's the processed flour." You probably don't think about the tiny things, the trace bits, the invisible specks doing backflips in your bloodstream while you scroll through breakfast memes. But micronutrients? They're not optional. They're the stage crew of your existence. You never see them, but without them the entire production falls apart. Vitamins and minerals. That's what we're talking about. Not calories, not fuel. These are the spark plugs, the wrenches, the duct tape holding your biochemical mess together. They don't give you energy, but they unlock it. Without them, everything slows down, like trying to run a smartphone with 3% battery, 12 open apps, and an overheating warning. Let's start with vitamins. There are two kinds, water-soluble and fat-soluble. Water-soluble vitamins, like B-complex and vitamin C, dissolve in water. Your body can't store them, so you need a regular supply. You pee out the excess. That neon yellow stream after a multivitamin? Totally normal. Not radioactive, just riboflavin doing its thing. Fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, require dietary fat for absorption. Your body stores them in the liver and fat tissue. They stick around, which means you can overdo them. Yes, even vitamins can be toxic in excess. More isn't always better. Sometimes it's just expensive urine. Minerals are a broader gang. You've got macro minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium that you need in larger amounts, and trace minerals like zinc, iron, copper, selenium in smaller doses, but no less important. Let's walk through a few A-listers. Iron helps carry oxygen in your blood. Too little? You're tired, pale, foggy. Women lose iron monthly. Vegetarians struggle with absorption. That's why cast iron pans and spinach aren't just trendy. They're practical. Magnesium is a multitasker. It's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions. Muscle function, nerve transmission, DNA synthesis. It's doing it all while being massively underrated. Low levels can lead to cramps, insomnia, anxiety. Fringe tip, Epsom salt baths contain magnesium sulfate. So yes, a hot soak might be doing more than relaxing you. It's recharging your literal nerve juice. Zinc, the repairman, supports immunity, skin, wound healing, taste, even testosterone, but it competes with copper for absorption. Take too much and you might mess up your mineral symphony. Sodium and potassium work together like bouncers at the club of cellular hydration. They regulate fluid balance, nerve signals, and muscle contractions. Ever cramped up mid-stretch or felt dizzy after a sauna? That's your electrolytes protesting. Scientists still argue whether modern soil depletion has made our food less nutritious. Some say yes, we're growing food faster and bigger, but with fewer minerals. Others think the impact is minor. Either way, it's a compelling reason to prioritize variety, whole foods, and maybe even rethink that daily multivitamin. Quirky fact, pirates used to get scurvy not from dirty water or moldy bread, but from vitamin C deficiency. Your body doesn't produce it, and when it's missing, gums bleed. Wounds don't heal. You slowly unravel like a haunted marionette, all for want of an orange. Let's talk vitamin D. Technically a hormone, produced in your skin when exposed to sunlight. But indoor lives, sunscreen, and higher latitudes mean most people are deficient. That might explain your low mood, weak bones, and constant sniffles. Supplementation helps, but not all D is created equal. D3 is more effective than D2. Pair it with fat for better absorption, or just get outside and let your skin do some photosynthesis. Then there's vitamin B12, critical for nerve health and red blood cells, found in animal products, which means vegans need to supplement or risk deficiency. Symptoms sneak up: fatigue, memory issues, tingling in hands or feet. It's the silent ghost of nutrient neglect. Micronutrient needs vary wildly depending on age, sex, genetics, and lifestyle. Pregnant, you need more folate. Postmenopausal, watch calcium and D. Stressed out, you burn through magnesium and B vitamins faster. A lot faster. Let's not ignore the gut's role in all this. Even if your diet's perfect, poor gut health can sabotage nutrient absorption. Inflammation, medications, antibiotics, even chronic stress. They all interfere. That kale smoothie might be a one-way ticket to your toilet if your microbiome isn't up to snuff. And speaking of toilets, fat-soluble vitamins require fat for absorption. Eat your salad without oil? You just created a nutrient hostage situation. Again, add a bit of olive oil, avocado, or nuts. Make those vitamins feel welcome. Quirky corner. The meat-only carnivore diet has puzzled researchers. No plants, no fiber, just steaks. And yet some followers claim perfect health, clear skin, and mental clarity. Scientists still argue whether they're outliers, genetically gifted, or just surfing a temporary placebo wave. It's weird, but it challenges the one-size-fits-all dogma. So how do you know if you're getting enough micronutrients? Short answer, blood tests. Long answer, look at the signals. Cracked lips? Could be B2. Pale skin? Maybe iron. Night blindness? Hello, vitamin A. Chronic fatigue? Iron, B12, D. Take your pick. It's like a biochemical whodunit. Should you take a multivitamin? Maybe, if your diet is trash or you're on restrictive plans. But remember, supplements aren't insurance. They're backup dancers. You still need the headliner. Real food, and not just the same 5 meals rotated like a tired playlist. Diversity matters. Micronutrients don't make you feel something instantly. They don't buzz like caffeine or pump you up like carbs. They whisper. But when they're missing, everything feels off, like trying to run a symphony with no strings section. You can't quite name what's wrong, but you feel it. So pay attention to the little things. The unsung molecules, the minerals hitching rides on proteins, the vitamins slipping silently through your intestines, hoping you remembered the olive oil, because without them, you're just a slightly smarter sack of water trying to get through another Tuesday. You twitch, just slightly. Maybe your eyelid flutters. Maybe a calf muscle seizes while you're trying to fall asleep. It's subtle, annoying, almost ghostly. That right there might be magnesium waving a tiny white flag from deep inside your cells. This mineral doesn't get the fame it deserves. No flashy commercials, no buzzword status, but it's working harder than your favorite barista during Monday morning rush hour. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzyme reactions: muscle relaxation, energy production, nerve signal transmission, blood sugar regulation, even DNA synthesis, and yet most people are deficient, silently, systematically. It's not your fault entirely. Our modern soil is depleted. Our food is processed. Our stress levels are Olympic tier. All of it drains magnesium faster than a cracked phone battery. Coffee, alcohol, sugar, chronic stress, all stealthy magnesium thieves. You're probably burning through it just by existing. Scientists still argue whether subclinical magnesium deficiency contributes to the rising tide of chronic disease, things like hypertension, insulin resistance, and anxiety. But emerging studies keep whispering the same message. When in doubt, check your magnesium. Let's talk symptoms. Low magnesium can show up as fatigue, headaches, irritability, anxiety, poor sleep, muscle twitches, cramps, even heart palpitations. Basically, it's your body glitching out like a laggy computer. And you keep blaming everything except the missing mineral. Magnesium comes in several forms, and here's where things get nerdy. Magnesium citrate, great for absorption, also a gentle laxative, so maybe don't double dose before a first date. Magnesium glycinate, bound to glycine, it's calming, good for sleep and anxiety. Your nervous system will send a thank you note. Loambout, magnesium oxide, cheap, poorly absorbed but potent for constipation. A blunt tool, but effective in emergencies. Loambout, magnesium malate, energizing, often used for muscle fatigue. Some athletes swear by it. Magnesium threonate, newer, crosses the blood-brain barrier, possibly helpful for cognition. Expensive, but intriguing. Not all magnesiums are created equal, and they're not interchangeable. Choosing the wrong one is like using motor oil to make soup. It'll technically fill the bowl, but the outcome's questionable. Let's talk food. Magnesium-rich foods include leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, and dark chocolate. Yes, chocolate. Real dark chocolate. Not the sugary imposter that barely qualifies as cacao. A single square can deliver 50 to 90 milligrams of magnesium. Romantic and therapeutic. But cooking can deplete magnesium. So can overwashing vegetables. Even how your food is grown affects its mineral content. That spinach salad, noble. But if the soil's weak, it might not deliver the goods. That's why dietary magnesium intake is declining globally, even among people who eat healthy. Here's the quirky part. Magnesium interacts with other nutrients in strange ways. It competes with calcium for absorption. It partners with vitamin D to help move calcium where it belongs. And if you're low on one, it can mess with the other. It's like a dinner party where everyone's got history, and seating arrangements matter. Let's shift to sleep. Magnesium has a well-earned reputation as the chill pill. It supports GABA, a calming neurotransmitter that helps reduce brain activity. Think of GABA like a gentle hand on your shoulder, saying, "Shoo, not now." Low magnesium? GABA doesn't show up, and your mind plays midnight ping-pong between your tax returns and childhood regrets. That's why magnesium supplements are popular nighttime companions. Magnesium glycinate or citrate taken about an hour before bed can help unwind the nervous system. Add some lavender tea, white noise, and a little existential dread for spice, and suddenly you're asleep like a tranquilized koala. But magnesium isn't just about peace and sleep. It's also crucial during exercise. It helps move blood sugar into your muscles and dispose of lactate, the stuff that builds up and makes your legs scream. Low magnesium? You fatigue faster. Recovery slows. Soreness lingers. You feel old, even if you're 22. Quirky fringe fact, some endurance athletes have been known to rub magnesium oil on their skin before races. Transdermal absorption is debated. Some say it works. Others think it's glorified placebo mist. But when your hamstrings are threatening mutiny, you'll try anything. There's also growing interest in magnesium and mental health. Studies have found correlations between low magnesium levels and increased rates of depression and anxiety. One theory, magnesium modulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, your stress response system. When it's low, cortisol runs wild, and your brain becomes a chaotic playlist of overthinking and doom scrolling. And let's not forget the heart. Magnesium helps maintain a steady heartbeat by regulating electrolyte movement in and out of heart cells. Deficiency can trigger arrhythmias or irregular heartbeat. In hospitals, IV magnesium is often administered during acute cardiac events. Translation, your body knows it's essential, even if you don't. So, should you supplement? Maybe. If you're eating mostly processed food, under constant stress, or experiencing signs of deficiency, it's worth a try. Start low, go slow, don't expect fireworks. Think of magnesium as a silent fixer, not a miracle cure. Oh, and if you're combining it with calcium, watch your ratio. Too much calcium without enough magnesium can lead to muscle tension, irritability, even calcification where you don't want it, like arteries or joints. The ideal calcium to magnesium ratio is still debated, but 2:1 or 1:1 is a good ballpark. One final note, magnesium tolerance varies wildly. Some people can take 400 milligrams and feel blissfully mellow. Others, it sends them sprinting to the bathroom. Your gut will let you know what's working. Loudly. So tonight, as your muscles hum with low-grade tension and your thoughts spiral like overcooked spaghetti, remember magnesium. It's not flashy. It won't trend on TikTok, but it might just be the missing whisper in your body's nightly lullaby. You step into the sunlight. Feels nice, right? Warm, golden, Instagrammable. But something deeper is happening. Something ancient and chemical, and utterly crucial. Your skin, quietly and efficiently, is turning those rays into vitamin D. Not a nutrient, a hormone, and possibly one of the most underrated players in your entire biological orchestra. Let's not sugarcoat it. You're probably low on vitamin D. Most people are, especially if you work indoors, live far from the equator, use sunscreen, which you should, or haven't seen daylight since your last emotionally stable life phase. And low vitamin D? That's not just, oops, forgot my Flintstones gummies. That's a systemic, silent, sneaky deficiency that touches nearly every cell in your body. Vitamin D regulates over 1,000 genes. It supports calcium absorption, immune function, mood regulation, hormonal balance, and even cardiovascular health. Without enough of it, your bones weaken, your immune system snoozes, and your mood drifts toward gray like an emotionally unavailable weather forecast. Here's the twist. Your body can't produce vitamin D without UVB exposure. You need sunlight on your skin, bare skin, and not just a sliver of wrist while waiting for the bus. Depending on your skin tone, you may need 3 minutes of midday sun, several times per week. The darker your skin, the longer it takes. Melanin is nature's sunscreen, and in this case, it can limit D production. But modern life isn't built for sun worship. Offices, screens, pollution, fear of skin cancer. It's a perfect storm of light avoidance. That's why so many people turn to supplements. And here's where the details matter. There are 2 types of supplemental D. Vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, plant-derived, less bioavailable. Vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, animal-derived or synthesized from lichen, more effective. D3 is your winner here. It's the form your body produces naturally. It stays active longer in the bloodstream. Most reputable supplements use it. But D doesn't work alone. You need magnesium to convert it into its active form. Remember the last section? Yup, magnesium's still in the background, making things happen like an underpaid production assistant. And you also need vitamin K2, specifically MK7 form, to help direct calcium to the bones where it belongs, and not to the arteries. Taking high-dose D without K2? That's like inviting calcium to a party with no designated driver. Scientists still argue whether daily or weekly dosing is better. Some prefer steady microdosing. Others recommend big weekly doses, especially for those deficient. It varies by person. Blood testing is the only real way to know your levels. Ideal blood concentration? Somewhere between 40 to 60 nanograms depending on who you ask. Quirky note, vitamin D receptors are found in nearly every tissue in the body, including your brain. That's why low levels have been linked to depression, anxiety, seasonal affective disorder, and even cognitive decline. Some researchers believe D acts more like a neurosteroid than a typical vitamin. Your brain doesn't just like vitamin D, it depends on it. Let's talk immunity. Vitamin D modulates both the innate and adaptive immune systems. It enhances your body's pathogen-fighting capabilities while simultaneously reducing overactive immune responses. That's a fancy way of saying it helps you fight viruses without setting your immune system on fire. Low D has been linked to increased risk of respiratory infections, autoimmune conditions, and even prolonged recovery from illness. During the COVID-19 pandemic, several studies explored correlations between low vitamin D levels and severe outcomes. The results weren't conclusive, but compelling enough that public health experts quietly began nudging people toward supplementation. You didn't hear about it on TikTok, but the data was humming in the background. Now here's a fun one. Vitamin D may influence testosterone levels. Some small studies suggest men with higher D levels also have higher testosterone. It's not definitive, but it's sparked interest in the biohacking and fitness world. Low energy, poor recovery, mood swings. Before you go hunting for exotic supplements, maybe check if you're just sun-deprived. You might also be surprised to learn that D plays a role in insulin sensitivity. Deficiency has been associated with higher rates of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Again, it's not a silver bullet, but it's a powerful modulator. Think of it like a bouncer at the hormonal nightclub, keeping things in line, preventing chaos. Food sources? There aren't many. Fatty fish like salmon and sardines, and egg yolks, beef liver, fortified dairy or plant milks. But you'd need to eat a lot of salmon to hit optimal levels. That's why food alone usually isn't enough, especially if you're vegan, lactose intolerant, or fish averse. Fringe practice. Vitamin D sun lamps. These UVB-emitting devices are designed to mimic natural sunlight and stimulate D production in the skin. Popular in Scandinavia, where winter daylight is more myth than reality. Do they work? Kind of, but misuse can burn you, or worse, overexpose you to radiation. If you go this route, treat it like a tiny sun. Respect the power. Let's end on a personal note. That sluggishness you've been blaming on just being tired? That lingering cold you can't shake? The low mood that returns every cloudy week? It might not be all in your head. It might be in your skin. Or rather, in the sunlight your skin hasn't seen lately. You don't need to roast yourself. You don't need to megadose. You just need to pay attention to the light you live in and the nutrients your lifestyle slowly siphons away. Because vitamin D isn't a luxury, it's a quiet guardian. And if it's been missing for a while, your body probably knows. You've probably heard whispers, late-night YouTube spirals, biohackers raving, gym bros swearing it boosts testosterone, immune function, and your ability to fight off a cold with one eyebrow raise. Zinc, just zinc, this tiny trace mineral that sounds like a spaceship metal, is actually the unsung conductor of your body's emergency response system. Here's the real tea. You don't store zinc, not in your liver, not in fat, not even in that weird drawer where you stash old phone chargers and your birth certificate. It has to be consumed daily, just enough to keep systems humming. Miss it too often, and you start to fall apart in slow, embarrassing ways. Let's break it down. Zinc is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions: immune response, DNA replication, wound healing, protein synthesis, taste perception, and wait for it, hormone regulation. It's the Swiss Army knife of micronutrients. Your white blood cells, they depend on zinc to function properly. Your skin needs zinc to repair cuts and control oil production. Your mood, zinc plays a role in neurotransmitter function too. And yes, there's a reason every immune booster supplement throws it into the mix with vitamin C like a cocktail nobody questioned. Zinc actually helps reduce the duration and severity of colds if taken early. Scientists still argue whether it works universally or just in zinc-deficient people. But the evidence? Pretty decent, especially when it comes in the form of lozenges. Slow absorption through the mouth may help target the upper respiratory tract more directly. But here's the twist. Too much zinc? Disaster. Nausea, metallic taste, headaches, and ironically, a weakened immune system. Chronic high doses can cause copper deficiency, since zinc and copper compete for the same transport channels. It's biochemical sibling rivalry. You need both, but in balance. That's why many higher-dose zinc supplements pair it with 1 to 2 milligrams of copper. So how much do you actually need? Men, about 11 milligrams day. Ronarintandi, 8 milligrams day. But during illness or stress, requirements may rise. Athletes tend to need more. So do people on plant-based diets, since plant sources contain phytates, compounds that bind to zinc and block its absorption. If you're living on whole grains and legumes, you're probably not absorbing as much zinc as you think. Soaking, sprouting, or fermenting these foods can reduce phytates and make zinc more bioavailable. Let's talk food. Zinc-rich sources include oysters, nature's multivitamin. Seriously, rund meat, poultry, shellfish, rund meat, dags meat, pumpkin, hemp, sesame, cashews, chickpeas. But again, watch the phytates. You can get enough from food. But supplements have become the go-to for people under chronic stress, dieting, or constantly sick. Just beware the dose. Anything over 40 milligrams per day long-term can backfire. Quirky science detour, zinc fingers. Not a Marvel character, though it should be. Zinc fingers are structural motifs in proteins that bind to DNA. These tiny structures help regulate gene expression, cell division, and repair. Translation? Zinc influences how your genes do their job. It doesn't just protect your body, it instructs it. And then there's libido. Zinc plays a subtle but real role in testosterone production. In men, deficiency can lead to lower testosterone, reduced sperm count, even fertility issues. That's why zinc is often marketed as a male health supplement. But it matters for women too. Zinc influences estrogen balance, egg quality, and menstrual cycle health. Hormones don't discriminate. Scientists still argue whether supplementing zinc above normal levels boosts testosterone in healthy individuals. Most agree it helps restore levels in those deficient, but beyond that, the effect is murky. Still, it's enough to keep it front and center in the supplement aisle, with bold promises and vaguely suggestive packaging. Zinc also helps with taste and smell. During the pandemic, many people who lost those senses temporarily were found to be low in zinc. It's not the full story, but another hint that zinc isn't just some backup mineral. It's running major systems you take for granted until they glitch. Now let's talk about zinc and acne. Topical and oral zinc are both used to reduce inflammation and bacterial activity in the skin. It doesn't dry out your skin like harsh acids or mess with your gut like antibiotics. It's gentle, subtle, and sometimes it works, especially for people with oily skin or hormonal breakouts. Zinc picolinate or gluconate are often the preferred forms. Forms matter, by the way. Zinc gluconate, gentle, common, well-tolerated. Zinc picolinate, highly bioavailable, good for absorption. Zinc acetate, often used in lozenges. Zinc sulfate, effective but can irritate the stomach. Zinc oxide, used in creams, not for internal use. Please don't eat your sunscreen. Speaking of sunscreen, zinc oxide is the main mineral used in physical sunscreens. It literally reflects UV rays off your skin. So zinc isn't just protecting your DNA from the inside, it's also guarding your cells on the surface, like a microscopic riot shield. Let's not forget gut health. Zinc helps maintain the integrity of the intestinal lining. Ever heard of leaky gut? It's not just wellness blogger nonsense, it's real. And zinc is one of the key nutrients that helps seal those microscopic junctions between gut cells, preventing unwanted particles from slipping into the bloodstream and triggering inflammation. Now for a fringe oddity, there's a rare inherited condition called acrodermatitis enteropathica, where people can't absorb zinc properly. It leads to severe skin lesions, hair loss, and immune dysfunction. Once diagnosed, lifelong zinc supplementation can reverse most symptoms, proof that one mineral, in the right dose, can quite literally change a life. So tonight, while your immune system patrols your bloodstream, your hormones whisper sweet nothings, and your skin quietly heals from the day's micro-traumas, zinc is in the background, silent, small, but crucial, not a cure-all, not a trend, just another molecule holding your reality together by a very thin thread. You're sweating. Maybe it's from exercise. Maybe it's a hot room. Maybe you're just existing in Singapore without aircon. But as your shirt starts sticking, and your body leaks salt like a sad pretzel, something more critical is happening inside. Your electrolyte balance is shifting. And when electrolytes go out of whack, you don't just feel tired. You feel like a melted version of yourself. Dizzy, foggy, crampy, slightly disconnected from reality. Like your brain's buffering and your limbs are running on expired software. Let's break this down. Electrolytes are minerals that carry an electric charge. They're dissolved in your body fluids and help with critical functions like nerve signaling, muscle contraction, fluid balance, pH regulation, and keeping your heartbeat on rhythm. The big players: sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, and phosphate. Without them, your cells can't communicate, your muscles can't relax or contract properly, your hydration doesn't hydrate. You're basically a walking error message waiting for a reboot. The most famous of the crew is sodium, the villainized salt we've all been told to fear. But here's the kicker. Sodium is essential. It helps regulate blood pressure, support nerve function, and most importantly, retain water where it matters. Lose too much sodium through sweat and you end up with something called hyponatremia. That's when your sodium levels drop so low your cells swell with water. In extreme cases, seizures, coma, death. This happens more than you'd think, especially in endurance athletes who guzzle water without replacing salt. It also happens in people who overhydrate because they read on some wellness blog that 8 glasses a day is a universal rule. Newsflash, your hydration needs depend on your activity, diet, climate, and even stress levels. Now let's talk potassium, the inside man. While sodium works mainly outside your cells, potassium balances things inside. It keeps your heart rhythm steady, muscles relaxed, and helps your kidneys do their fluid magic. Low potassium, you'll feel weak, twitchy, like your limbs are filled with static, and the potassium to sodium ratio, that's a huge deal. Our ancestors got way more potassium than sodium. Some estimates say 10-1. Today, we're flipped. High sodium, low potassium. That imbalance contributes to hypertension, bloating, fatigue, and increased risk of stroke. The fix? Eat more potassium-rich whole foods, bananas, potatoes with the skin, spinach, avocados, beans, and sweet potatoes. But don't go popping potassium supplements just yet. Too much, too fast, especially if you have kidney issues. That's a heart arrhythmia waiting to happen. The safest approach is food. Always food first. Let's not forget calcium, the mineral you thought was just about bones. It's also an electrolyte. It plays a role in nerve transmission, muscle function, blood clotting, and cellular signaling. When levels drop too low, your body robs your bones. Long-term, osteoporosis. Short-term, muscle cramps, numbness, even heart irregularities. But calcium is picky. It needs magnesium and vitamin D to be properly absorbed. Without the full trio, It's just wandering around your bloodstream, wondering what it's doing there. Scientists still argue whether calcium supplementation actually prevents fractures long-term, or whether it's just a feel-good band-aid for poor diet and low activity. Chloride tags along with sodium. It helps maintain acid-base balance and proper fluid pressure. Not sexy, but vital. You'll find it in table salt, alongside sodium. And then there's phosphate, less talked about but crucial for energy production and cellular function. It's part of ATP, your body's energy currency. You use it with every thought, breath, and blink. Most people get enough through food, but certain conditions or medications can throw it off, leading to weakness, bone pain, or even weird changes in breathing patterns. Let's talk sweat. You don't just lose water. You lose sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, all of it. That's why athletes drink electrolyte formulas. That's why your body doesn't bounce back from workouts on water alone. Even a moderate workout can cost you 300–800 milligrams of sodium depending on how much you sweat and how salty that sweat is. Yes, everyone has a different saltiness. It's genetic. Some people have white rings on their clothes post-workout. Others, not a grain. Your salt loss is as unique as your fingerprint. Quirky fact, firefighters, military personnel, and endurance athletes often use salt tablets or high-sodium electrolyte drinks during long exposures to heat. Why? Because plain water in those conditions can be dangerous. Water without salt, body revolt. Ever heard of the banana cure? It's old school. Cramping. Eat a banana. Potassium, right? Sort of. But recent research shows that magnesium and sodium may be more crucial in preventing cramps, especially during and after intense exercise. A banana alone might not cut it. What you really need is a full-spectrum electrolyte fix. Let's peek into electrolyte supplements. They come in powders, tablets, capsules, and ready-to-drink bottles. Some are clean and science-backed. Others are glorified Kool-Aid with a sprinkling of sodium and branding by a lifestyle influencer. Check the label. During long workouts, sip electrolyte water, not just plain water. After sweating, rehydrate with salt plus potassium water, not just a protein shake and hope. Fringe practice. Some people sip Sol, a saturated salt water solution, first thing in the morning. Claims include better mineral balance, adrenal support, and hydration. The science is thin, but anecdotal feedback, surprisingly positive. Placebo or not, your cells might just be thirsty for more than water. Electrolytes also shift with hormonal cycles. Women, especially in the luteal phase post-ovulation, tend to retain more water and sodium. This can affect performance, bloating, mood, and even hydration needs. Your electrolyte needs are not static. They change with your life, your cycle, your climate, your stress, and stress. It burns through minerals faster than a sweaty spin class. Cortisol dumps magnesium, sodium, and potassium. That's why chronic stress feels like you're both wired and exhausted. You're literally leaking voltage. So tonight, as your heart beats in perfect rhythm, as your muscles relax into the bed, as your brain whispers its last thoughts before sleep, know that tiny charged particles are keeping you alive. Invisible, essential, constantly moving across membranes and fluids and electrical gradients to make you happen. Not just hydrated, not just balanced, but quietly, chemically, in tune. Your muscles are trembling. Your shirt clings to your back like a desperate ex. Your heartbeat is thudding in your throat. You've just finished a workout, and in the post-pump haze, one question floats through your head. What now? Welcome to the post-workout zone, one of the most misunderstood windows in all of nutrition. Because the work doesn't end when you drop the weights or hop off the treadmill. In fact, that's when the real stuff begins. Repair, recovery, and refueling. Let's set the scene. During a workout, you're essentially damaging yourself in a good way. You create micro-tears in muscle fibers, deplete glycogen stores, spike cortisol, and disrupt fluid and electrolyte balance. Your body interprets this as a stress signal. The response? Rebuild stronger. But it needs raw materials, amino acids, glucose, electrolytes, hydration, and rest. Ignore this window too long, and you'll feel it. Fatigue that lingers, soreness that turns into stiffness, muscle loss instead of gain. That weird emotional crash that has you crying in the car while Eye of the Tiger plays softly. The idea of the anabolic window, a short 30–60 minute period after your workout where you must eat, is both overhyped and partly true. Yes, your body is primed to absorb nutrients during this time. Insulin sensitivity is heightened, blood flow is rushing to your muscles, and your cells are like sponges ready to soak up whatever you give them. But the truth? The window isn't closing like a medieval castle gate. It's more like a sliding door. If you've eaten before your workout, that food is still fueling your recovery. If you miss the window by an hour, nothing catastrophic happens. What matters most is your overall nutrient intake across the day. That said, optimizing your post-workout meal does accelerate recovery. Think of it like a construction crew showing up on time after a hurricane. So what should you feed your body? 1. Protein, the obvious one. You need amino acids to repair muscle. Fast-digesting sources like whey protein are popular post-workout because they're rapidly absorbed. 20-40 grams is the sweet spot for most people. Animal or plant-based, it doesn't matter as long as it contains all essential amino acids. 2. Carbohydrates, often overlooked but critical. Your muscles store energy as glycogen, and you burn through it during exercise, especially cardio or high-intensity training. Replenishing it helps prevent fatigue and sets you up for your next session. The magic ratio? About 2-3 grams of carbs per gram of protein. So if you take 30 grams of protein, aim for 60 to 90 grams of carbs. Yes, carbs. The same ones you feared back in section 4. Electrolytes and water. You've lost fluids, sodium and potassium through sweat. Replace them. Not just with plain water. Add a pinch of sea salt, or sip on an electrolyte drink. Your muscles contract through electrical signals, and without electrolytes, those signals go haywire. That twitch in your leg 2 hours later, you probably didn't rehydrate properly. Now let's talk supplements, because the fitness world is packed with post-workout products that promise Greek god status by next Tuesday. Whey protein. Fast, complete, convenient. It's made from milk and high in leucine, the amino acid most responsible for triggering muscle growth. Great for post-lift recovery. Casein. Slow digesting. Better before bed. Not ideal right after a workout when you want rapid absorption. BCAAs. Branch-chain amino acids. Leucine, isoleucine, valine. Marketed heavily, but if you're eating enough protein they're likely redundant. Still, they taste good and might help reduce soreness in fasted training. Creatine. A rock star. Not just for performance but recovery too. It helps replenish ATP, your cell's energy currency, draws water into muscles, and supports strength over time. 5g daily is enough. Timing doesn't matter. Just take it consistently. Glutamine, an amino acid that may help with gut health and immune function. Its role in recovery is debated. Some swear by it. Others see no difference. Tart cherry juice. This one's fun. Rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, it may help reduce muscle soreness and support sleep. Athletes use it after intense events. Tastes like liquid candy cane sadness, but works surprisingly well. L-citrulline, or nitric oxide boosters. They help increase blood flow, which may aid in nutrient delivery post-workout. Not essential, but intriguing. Scientists still argue whether antioxidant supplements after exercise are helpful or harmful. On one hand, they reduce inflammation and soreness. On the other, some inflammation is necessary for muscle adaptation. Oversuppress it, and you might blunt gains. That's why natural sources, like berries, dark chocolate, or turmeric, may be better than megadoses of isolated compounds. Let's not ignore sleep. The most potent recovery tool isn't in your shaker bottle, it's in your pillow. During deep sleep, your body floods with growth hormone. Muscles repair, tissues heal, mental and emotional systems reset. Skimp on sleep, and no amount of supplements will save you. Quirky fact: some elite athletes track heart rate variability (HRV) after workouts to measure recovery. High HRV, relaxed, ready. Low HRV, stressed, depleted. It's like a nervous system status report. You can track yours with a wearable like Whoop, Aura, or even a good smartwatch. It won't lie to you, even if you lie to yourself. One more thing: don't obsess. Recovery isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, hormonal. You're not a machine. You don't just refuel and reboot. Sometimes you need food and a nap. Sometimes you need a walk in the sun and a salty ramen bowl. Sometimes you need not to lift today. Recovery also depends on your goals. Trying to build muscle? Eat more. Trying to lean out? You can reduce calories, but still hit your protein. Just don't under-recover. That's how you burn out, get sick, lose motivation, or worse, get injured. So next time you finish a workout, remember, it's not about chugging the perfect blend of powders and praying to the gains gods. It's about listening, refueling, respecting what you just asked your body to do, because the gym is where you break yourself, but recovery, that's where you rebuild. You walk into a supplement store and it's like a fluorescent lit fever dream. Shelves stacked with tubs that scream shred, gain, pump, and burn. Pills, powders, gummies, liquids, pre-workouts with names that sound like energy drinks designed by demons. And in the middle of it all, you, with good intentions, a debit card, and absolutely no clue what half these ingredients actually do. Welcome to the Wild West of wellness, supplements. They promise everything. Bigger muscles, faster recovery, mental clarity, immune protection, fat burning, sleep, libido, mood, focus, eternal youth, and the ability to levitate through life with optimized mitochondria. But here's the real deal. Supplements are tools. Not magic, not medicine, and absolutely not a substitute for real food, sleep, hydration, or your willingness to go outside once in a while. Let's lay a foundation. A supplement is exactly what it says it is. A supplement. Something that fills in a gap, not something that builds the house. If your diet is already well-rounded and your lifestyle dialed in, you might not need much, but most people aren't there. We're sleep-deprived, chronically stressed, over-caffeinated, undersunned, and working with grocery lists that occasionally resemble beige-on-beige crime scenes. So for many, smart supplementation can make a big difference. The key word? Smart. Let's break it down by category. Foundational supplements. These are your nutritional seatbelts, basic support most people can benefit from. Vitamin D3 plus K2, especially if you're indoors a lot, live in northern latitudes, or wear sunscreen regularly. D3 helps with immunity, mood, and bone health. K2 helps guide calcium into bones and out of arteries. Magnesium, glycinate or citrate, already covered in Section 6, but worth repeating. Stress depletes it, modern soil lacks it, and you feel the consequences more than you realize. Omega-3s, EPA and DHA. Unless you eat fatty fish several times a week, you're likely low. Supports heart health, brain function, reduces inflammation, and may even improve mood. Look for molecularly distilled fish oil or vegan algae-based sources if you're plant-based. Multivitamin, with actual bioavailability, not candy, not the one with cartoon characters. A solid multi can fill small gaps in your diet, but avoid the kitchen sink types with 60+ ingredients in fairy dust doses. Performance supplements. These are more niche but effective when used appropriately. Creatine monohydrate, one of the most studied supplements in existence. Supports strength, power, and brain function. Safe, cheap, effective. Just 3 5-grain daily. Yes, even on rest days. Yes, even if you don't lift. Protein powders. Whey, pea, brown rice, casein. Convenient for hitting daily protein goals, especially post-workout or during busy schedules. Choose one with minimal ingredients and no artificial junk. Electrolytes. For heavy sweaters, athletes, or folks living in hot climates. Look for ones with sodium, potassium, magnesium, not just sugar and neon dye. Beta-alanine. May delay fatigue during high-intensity efforts by buffering lactic acid. Causes a harmless tingling sensation. Paresthesia. Not essential, but useful for sprinters, lifters, and fighters. Cognitive and wellness support. The smart stuff. Sometimes science-backed. Sometimes not so much. L-theanine. Plus caffeine. A match made in nootropic heaven. Theanine smooths the jitters from caffeine while enhancing focus. Found naturally in tea. Ashwagandha, an adaptogen said to reduce cortisol, support thyroid function, and improve stress resilience. Studies are promising, especially for anxious overthinkers and burnout zombies. Rhodiola rosea, another adaptogen that may support energy, stamina, and mental focus, especially under stress. Lion's mane mushroom, claimed to support nerve growth and cognitive function. Evidence is early but intriguing, may support mood, memory, and neuroplasticity. Melatonin, great for jet lag or occasional sleep issues, but not a daily crutch. Long-term use can disrupt your body's natural rhythm. Try magnesium and light exposure first. To condapenoans condafictuan de conurch. The sketchy stuff. Now we enter the shadow realm. Supplements that might work, might harm, or just might be expensive nonsense. Testosterone boosters. Usually herbal blends with flashy names and questionable claims. Unless you're clinically low T, these won't do much beyond empty your wallet. Fat burners. Caffeine bombs with green tea extract. Synephrine, yohimbine, and other metabolic stimulants may suppress appetite short-term, but often wreck sleep, raise heart rate, and increase anxiety. Unsustainable and risky for many. Detox teas and cleanses. Your liver and kidneys are your detox system. If they're not working, you need a hospital, not a $29.99 tea that makes you live on the toilet. Let's talk regulation. In many countries, supplements aren't regulated like medications. The ingredients aren't always what they claim. Potency varies. Some are spiked with banned substances or contaminated with heavy metals. Always choose third-party tested brands, NSF certified, Informed Sport, or USP verified. If it's not tested, it's a gamble. And remember, more is not better. Overdosing vitamins like A, D, E, or iron can cause real damage. You can't hack your biology by megadosing. You can only unbalance it. Scientists still argue whether most supplements work at all in people with decent diets. Some studies say they're useful in filling gaps. Others find little to no benefit. The truth, as usual, lies somewhere in between. Here's a quirky fact. Placebo effect plays a huge role in how supplements feel. If you believe a powder makes you focused or a capsule helps you sleep, your brain might just make it so. That doesn't mean the product is fake. It means your brain is powerful and easily influenced. So here's the minimalist's approach. Get blood work. Don't supplement blindly. Fix your food, stress, and sleep first. Add only what you're missing. Cycle off occasionally. Let your body reset. Round or keep it simple. You're not a pharmacy. You're a human. At the end of the day, the best supplements are boring. They don't sparkle. They don't promise abs. They just work, slowly, subtly, in the background, helping you function like the human you're supposed to be. And in a world full of hype, gimmicks, and neon powders promising immortality in a scoop, that might be all you need. Your hand trembles slightly as you bring that mug of coffee to your lips. It's not nerves, it's caffeine. Glorious, legal, culturally adored caffeine. The molecule that launched a million Mondays and saved more careers than therapy and time blocking ever could. But caffeine isn't just your best friend. It's also your double agent. 1 cup makes you feel like a god. 2 cups? Still manageable. 3? You're vibrating. 4? You're writing a business plan for a sock company at 2 a.m. and crying about your ex. You know the drill. Caffeine giveth, and caffeine taketh away. Let's unravel this complicated ride. Caffeine is a stimulant, technically a psychoactive drug, the most widely consumed one on Earth. It works by blocking adenosine, a neurotransmitter that builds up throughout the day and tells your brain it's time to wind down. By blocking it, caffeine tricks your brain into thinking you're not tired. It doesn't give you energy, it masks fatigue. That's an important distinction. And the second layer? It stimulates your central nervous system, boosting dopamine, adrenaline, and alertness. Heart rate rises, pupils dilate, blood pressure ticks up. Your fight or flight system leans in like, are we doing this? But over time, your body adapts. It builds tolerance. More adenosine receptors appear. You need more caffeine for the same buzz. Miss a dose? You crash hard. Headache, brain fog, irritability. That's caffeine withdrawal. And yes, it's real. It can last 1-3 days, depending on how deep you've gone into the bean abyss. So how much is too much? Get blood work. Don't supplement blindly. Shrimps your food, stress, and sleep first. Add only what you're missing. For most adults, up to 400 milligrams per day is considered safe. That's about 4 cups of brewed coffee. But some people metabolize it much faster or slower than others, thanks to genetics. You might be a fast metabolizer, buzzed for an hour, then fine. Or a slow metabolizer, jittery, anxious, and unable to sleep from a single espresso at lunch. Your CYP1A2 gene is responsible for this. If you've ever thought, why does coffee ruin me while my friend downs 4 and naps? That's why. Let's talk half-life. Caffeine stays in your system for 5 to 6 hours on average, but traces can remain up to 10 to 12 hours. That afternoon latte at 3 p.m., still humming through your bloodstream when you're trying to sleep at midnight. If you're struggling with insomnia, anxiety, or restless legs, consider not what you drank at bedtime, but what you drank hours ago. And it's not just coffee. Espresso, 65 to 90 milligrams per shot. Brewed coffee, 8 oz, Simtolid to 12 milligrams per wark. Energy drinks, anywhere from 80 to 300 milligrams per can. Pre-workouts, 150 to 400 milligrams. Some are insane. Even decaf. It has some caffeine, usually 2 to 10 milligrams per cup. Now let's peek into the fringe. Caffeine nap. You chug a small dose of coffee around 100 to 150 milligrams and immediately lie down for a 20-minute nap. As you doze, the caffeine kicks in. When you wake, you're double refreshed. It's a favorite among shift workers, med students, and tech workers who treat sleep like a startup feature. Weird? Yes. Effective? Surprisingly. And how does caffeine affect performance? Studies show it enhances endurance, reaction time, and focus. It mobilizes fat stores, spares glycogen, and makes hard things feel slightly less hard. That's why athletes use it. That's why pre-workouts exist. That's why some cyclists and marathoners down espresso shots before events. It works, but it's not a free ride. Caffeine increases cortisol, especially in the morning. Cortisol is already high when you wake, so stacking caffeine right away may spike anxiety or blunt your body's natural energy rhythm. Many experts now recommend delaying coffee by 60 to 90 minutes after waking to let your body do its thing first. Give your brain a moment to exist before you slap it with jet fuel. And then there's the sleep sabotage. Caffeine suppresses deep sleep even if you fall asleep. That means you wake up not feeling restored, which leads to more caffeine. And so the cycle tightens like a velvet noose. You're not addicted technically, but you're definitely in a relationship. Scientists still argue whether long-term caffeine use negatively affects health or whether its benefits improved alertness, reduced Parkinson's and Alzheimer's risk. Antioxidant properties outweigh the costs. For many, moderate intake is neutral or even positive. For others, especially the anxious, sensitive, or insomniac, it's poison in a mug. Let's get quirky for a second. Genetic testing for caffeine sensitivity is now a thing. You can swab your cheek and find out if you're a slow metabolizer, caffeine sensitive, or blessed by the bean gods. Biohackers use this to dial in their dose. But really, your body tells you everything you need to know. If you're anxious, jittery, or awake at 2 a.m. after a 4 p.m. coffee, that's your data. What about withdrawal? If you're thinking of quitting or cutting back, brace yourself. The first 1-2 days can be rough. Headaches, fog, mood swings, fatigue. It's like your body is staging a protest. After 3-5 days, most people stabilize. Some report deeper sleep, calmer mood, and more natural energy. Others miss the ritual and the fire in the veins sensation. It's personal. Pro tip, if you're quitting, taper. Don't go cold turkey. Swap every other cup for decaf. Switch to green tea. Drink more water. Magnesium can help too, especially for headaches and sleep. Final word, caffeine is a tool. Sharp, powerful, not evil, but not harmless either. Use it intentionally. Don't let it become a crutch. Don't use it to mask sleep debt or emotional exhaustion. And don't pretend it's hydrating you. It's mildly diuretic and does not count toward your water intake, no matter what your barista says. So tomorrow morning, when you take that first sip, pause, feel the warmth, feel the ritual, respect the chemistry, and maybe, just maybe, wait a little longer before that second cup. Your gut has a personality, moody, sensitive, occasionally passive-aggressive. It reacts to what you eat, how you sleep, when you stress, and whether you've had a vegetable this week. It's not just digestion. It's a dynamic, living ecosystem, and when it's unhappy, you are unhappy. Tonight we enter the strange, often gurgly world of the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other tiny creatures living in your digestive tract. Not parasites. Partners. You are, quite literally, more microbial than human. There are more bacterial cells in and on your body than there are human cells. You're a meat mech suit for an invisible microbial party, and they have opinions. These microbes influence digestion, immunity, mood, inflammation, even hormone production. They ferment fiber into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which nourish colon cells, reduce inflammation, and may even influence brain function. That's right, your gut is talking to your brain, constantly, through the gut-brain axis, a biochemical hotline that links your intestines to your mood. Ever had a gut feeling? Butterflies before a big event? That's not metaphor, that's neurology. The gut has its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system, sometimes called the second brain. It contains over 100 million neurons, more than the spinal cord. Scientists still argue whether the gut can independently influence cognition or mood, or if it just acts as a noisy middleman. Either way, when your microbiome is off, things feel off. Let's talk symptoms. Bloating, crunch, gas, constipation or diarrhea, food intolerances, brain fog, chronic fatigue, anxiety or irritability, chronic fish, sugar cravings. You might think these are random, unrelated issues, but they often trace back to microbial imbalance or dysbiosis, an overgrowth of bad bacteria, undergrowth of good ones, or simply lack of diversity. And the modern lifestyle? Not helping. High sugar, low fiber diets feed the wrong bugs. Stress increases gut permeability. Antibiotics wipe out bacteria, both good and bad. Sleep deprivation throws off microbial rhythm. Lack of outdoor exposure reduces bacterial diversity. Yes, your bacteria are on a circadian cycle too. They thrive when you sleep well, eat on a schedule, and live with some level of routine. Chronically chaotic life, chaotic gut, chaotic you. So what helps? Let's break it down. Fiber is their favorite food. Specifically, prebiotic fiber, found in onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, bananas, especially underripe, oats, flax seeds, and apples. This is what your good bacteria want. It helps them thrive, multiply, and push out harmful invaders. If your diet is low in fiber, introducing it too fast can cause bloating. Go slow. Add one fibrous meal a day. Drink water. Let your microbes adjust. They're sensitive artists, not bulldozers. Probiotics helpful but not magical. Probiotics are live bacteria you can consume through fermented foods or supplements. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, and kombucha all count. Supplements can help, especially after antibiotics or during gut healing, but they're strain-specific. One probiotic might help with diarrhea, another with mood, another with inflammation. A random blend from a gas station? Probably just expensive dust. Some studies suggest soil-based organisms, SBOs, may be more resilient and effective. Others argue that most probiotics don't survive stomach acid long enough to colonize. Scientists still debate whether the benefits come from colonization or from how the bacteria interact with your immune system in passing. Diversity matters more than dominance. You want a diverse gut, not just one super strain. More bacterial types, more resilience, more metabolic flexibility, more protection. That means eating a wide variety of plants, not just salad. Think color, texture, origin. Purple cabbage, turmeric, black beans, seaweed, lentils, pomegranates. Your gut wants a mosaic, not a monochrome. Quirky tip: people who eat 30 or more different plant foods per week tend to have much more diverse microbiomes. Track it sometime. See how many different plant sources show up on your plate. You might be surprised. 4. Watch for stealth gut disruptors. Artificial sweeteners, like sucralose and aspartame, can negatively alter the microbiome in some individuals. Excess alcohol, especially spirits, can mess with gut lining and microbial balance. Chronic stress physically changes gut motility, reduces blood flow to intestines, and alters bacterial ratios. 5. Don't fear fermented foods. Yes, they're funky. Yes, they smell like the inside of an old shoe. But fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir are rich in living cultures and beneficial acids. Start small, 1 forkful a day. Build tolerance. Think of it like seasoning for your gut. Let's talk leaky gut, or increased intestinal permeability. This controversial term describes when the tight junctions in your gut lining become loose, allowing undigested food particles, toxins, or bacteria to pass into the bloodstream. The immune system sees these as threats and overreacts. The result? Systemic inflammation. Scientists still argue whether leaky gut is a cause or consequence of disease, but most agree it exists, especially in conditions like Crohn's, IBS, and autoimmune diseases. Healing the gut lining involves reducing inflammatory foods, like processed seed oils and excess sugar, reintroducing nourishing ones, like bone broth, glutamine, collagen, managing stress, bone-barsing sleep, supporting with targeted supplements, zinc carnosine, slippery elm, marshmallow root. Yes, those are real things. And yes, your gut talks to your hormones too. Estrogen, serotonin, cortisol, they all interact with gut bacteria. There's even a specific term for the bacteria that metabolize estrogen, the estrobolome. Disrupted gut health can lead to estrogen dominance, mood swings, or irregular cycles in women. It's all connected. It always was. Final quirky fact: mice raised in sterile bacteria-free environments display altered brain development and anxiety behaviors. Once they're given healthy gut bacteria, their behavior changes. Let that sink in. Their personality shifted with microbial input. It's early science, but it's pointing to something big. So tonight, as you lie in bed digesting dinner, know that 1 trillion tiny roommates are working overtime, breaking down food, creating vitamins, modulating your immune system, chatting with your brain. You can't see them, you can't hear them, but they're there, living, shifting, responding, And every bite you take, every sleep you get, every walk outside is a message to them. You're either building a garden or growing a landfill. You skip breakfast, you push lunch, you eat a king's feast at 9 p.m. and fall asleep in a food coma, wondering why your dreams are weird. That's not just bad timing, that's metabolic whiplash, a modern phenomenon your ancestors never signed up for. Welcome to the chaotic chemistry of fasting and feasting, two ancient survival modes that we've turned into diet trends, productivity hacks, and occasionally, self-inflicted punishment. Reducing inflammatory foods, like processed seed oils and excess sugar. Reintroducing nourishing ones, like bone broth, glutamine, collagen. Managing stress. Let's start with fasting. Your body doesn't panic when you skip a meal. In fact, it's surprisingly chill about it for a while. Evolution designed you to go without food for extended periods. Intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, even multi-day fasts, they all tap into primal systems built to handle scarcity. When you fast, several things happen. Ruletjwen rikvikwam pintuzi sembroletsman, ruletjensirmiddenwan, ruletjedeseven talup like washing pingdemur. Lixmenyo's drused hormone plummets. This signals your body to start tapping into fat stores. Glycogen depletes. Your liver's glucose stash lasts about 12 to 24 hours. After that, the body starts making glucose from protein, gluconeogenesis, or switches to burning fat, lipolysis. Ketones rise. Your liver converts fat into ketone bodies, an alternate fuel source for your brain. Some people report mental clarity. Others just feel empty. And here's the twist. Your body doesn't just not eat, it actually upregulates certain systems. Human growth hormone, HGH, increases. Autophagy, a cellular cleanup process, kicks in. Your digestive system gets a break. Inflammation may decrease. You become metabolically flexible, able to switch between fuel sources, like a hybrid car. But fasting isn't magic. It's a stress, and stress is a double-edged sword. Fasting works well when your sleep is good, your stress is low, and your hormones are stable. But if you're already depleted, poor sleep, high cortisol, under-eating, it can backfire, especially in women, who tend to be more hormonally sensitive to prolonged caloric restriction. Scientists still argue whether fasting affects female reproductive hormones more drastically, or if it's a matter of lifestyle variables. The truth, it's very individual. Let's zoom in on the most popular version, intermittent fasting, EF, usually 16-8, 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating. Some do 18-6 or even one meal a day. OMAD. Benefits may include OMAD, improved insulin sensitivity, appetite regulation, simpler meal planning. But downsides? Potential energy crashes, muscle loss if protein is insufficient, hormonal disruptions, social isolation. Good luck scheduling lunch with friends. Some people thrive on IF. Others become ravenous, moody, and mentally foggy. It's not about willpower. It's about biological compatibility. Quirky detail. In animal studies, time-restricted feeding, even without calorie restriction, leads to improved metabolic health and lifespan extension. Mice fed the same calories during an 8-hour window lived longer and had fewer diseases than mice allowed to snack all day. It's not just what you eat, but when. Now. Feasting. Your body loves a good feast. It's wired to celebrate abundance. Dopamine rises. Leptin increases. You feel satisfied, safe, grounded. But in the modern world, feasting has lost its balance. We feast every day, every meal, often alone, and often on food designed to override satiety signals. Feasting without fasting is metabolic noise. But fasting without feasting, that's starvation. The key is oscillation. Your metabolism was designed for rhythm, not constant deprivation, not constant indulgence. Think pulsing periods of rest, periods of fueling. Feasting done right means enough calories to support recovery and hormone production, ample protein to prevent muscle loss, carbs to replenish glycogen and support thyroid function, FOC to stabilize hormones and fuel the brain, a sense of abundance, not anxiety. Some people even pair fasting with strategic feasting days, known as refeed days, to reset metabolism and encourage hormone balance. These are particularly helpful for people doing long-term low-carb or low-calorie diets. Your thyroid and leptin need signals of safety. Constant deficit tells your body to conserve. Let's talk metabolic flexibility. This is the ability to switch easily between burning carbs and fat. Most people today, metabolically rigid. They rely on glucose 24/7, crash when they miss a meal, and panic without snacks. Fasting, when done well, can help retrain the body to burn fat, but it takes time. Electrolytes, sleep, and hydration are critical during this transition. Otherwise, you're not detoxing, you're just crashing. And what about exercise? Fasting workouts are trendy. Some swear by them for fat loss. Others feel like they're moving through syrup. Fasted cardio works best for low to moderate intensity exercise. Lifting heavy, you'll need fuel, at least some carbs and amino acids. Otherwise, you risk muscle breakdown, especially if you're already lean. Let's not forget the gut. Extended fasting can give your digestive system a much-needed break. It reduces endotoxin load, promotes cellular cleanup in the gut lining, and may improve microbial balance. But go too far, and the gut slows down, motility decreases, stomach acid production dips. That's why some long-term fasters experience bloating or constipation when they reintroduce food. It's not just what you eat, it's how you re-enter. Here's a quirky fringe theory: circadian fasting, aligning your eating window with daylight hours. Eating early in the day supports better blood sugar regulation, hormonal rhythm, and sleep. Late-night meals, on the other hand, spike insulin, suppress melatonin, and can disrupt sleep architecture. That midnight burrito, not doing you favors. So what's the right rhythm? There isn't one. Your ideal fasting-feasting balance depends on your activity, your goals, fat loss, muscle gain, longevity, cognitive clarity. One day might call for 16/8 fasting, another for 3 full meals, another for a feast and a nap. That's not inconsistency. That's intuition. Fasting works best when it's flexible, when it aligns with your natural cues, not against them. When you fast because you're not hungry, not because a YouTube guru said you'd live longer. And when you feast, feast well. Whole foods, real meals, shared with humans, not screens. Because you're not just fueling a body, you're communicating safety. And safety is what your metabolism has been asking for all along. You're standing in front of the fridge again, not hungry, just searching, maybe for a snack, maybe for meaning. And deep down, your body's not asking for food, it's asking for balance. Because beneath all the macros, micros, fasting windows, workouts, and supplement stacks, your survival runs on homeostasis, that delicate, invisible equilibrium, where everything works just enough to keep you alive, aware, and hopefully, functioning. This isn't a sexy topic. No one goes viral for shouting steady blood sugar or moderate potassium levels. But balance isn't just boring, it's everything. And when it's off, you don't explode, you fade, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly, until something breaks. Let's zoom out. Every system in your body is trying to maintain something. Blood pH between 7.35 and 7.45. Core temperature around 98.6 Ferf. Blood sugar between 70 to 100 mg DLL. Fasted. Blood pressure around 120-80 mm HWAR. Hydration at cellular and vascular levels. Electrolyte concentrations inside and outside cells. Hormonal fluctuations that stay within survival threshold. Too acidic, and enzymes misfire. Too cold, and your metabolism crashes. Too much sodium, and your blood thickens. Too little glucose, and your brain flickers. And yet we swing these variables all day with every bite, every sip, every stressor, every skipped meal, every 2 a.m. doom scroll. Balance isn't about perfection, it's about correction. Tiny, constant tweaks. Your body's always adjusting. Raise insulin to pull down blood sugar. Release aldosterone to retain sodium. Dial up cortisol to wake up. Lower melatonin to face sunlight. This is a dance, and it's exhausting when you keep stepping on your own toes. Let's talk macronutrient balance, a word that's been beaten to death by fitness culture. Carbs for quick energy, protein for repair, fat for hormone production and cell integrity. None of them are evil. But the magic isn't in picking one, it's in pairing them. A meal of just carbs, blood sugar spike, crash, cravings. A meal of just protein, satiety, but no energy. Just fat, slow digestion, but no spark. Put them together and the fire burns longer, steadier, cleaner. Same goes for micronutrients. You need zinc, but not without copper. You need calcium, but not without magnesium and vitamin D. Your cells need sodium, but only if potassium's close behind. This isn't a solo performance. It's a symphony. And yes, sometimes the triangle player matters more than the violin. Your metabolism doesn't care about TikTok trends. It cares about patterns. Are you sleeping well, hydrating daily, eating meals instead of snacks, moving consistently instead of punishingly? These are the quiet rhythms that whisper safety into your nervous system. Let's talk hormones. Again, cortisol isn't bad. It wakes you up. But chronically elevated, it wrecks muscle, increases fat storage, ruins sleep. Insulin isn't evil. It clears glucose. But resistance to it, the root of diabetes, estrogen, testosterone, thyroid hormones, they all fluctuate daily. The goal isn't to optimize them into one perfect number. It's to support the range, the ebb and flow. Your biology isn't static. It's seasonal, circadian, and contextual. Ever wonder why some days you can lift heavy and others you can barely tie your shoes? That's homeostasis. Your body prioritizing something else. Digestion, recovery, immune defense. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Let's dive into adaptation, the magic trick your body pulls constantly. Eat more carbs, your cells increase insulin sensitivity. Train harder, your mitochondria multiply. Fast occasionally, your body gets better at fat oxidation. Sleep deeply, your nervous system recalibrates. But push any system too far, too fast, too often, you don't adapt, you snap. That's the dark side of optimization culture. Constantly chasing more, when your body just wants enough. More supplements, more fasting, more protein, more cardio, until balance collapses under the weight of ambition. Scientists still argue what the ideal diet or routine is. High fat, low fat, keto, Mediterranean, carnivore, vegan. The truth? It depends on you. Your genetics, your environment, your stress load, your sleep, your values. What works for you this year might not work next year. That's not failure. That's flexibility. And speaking of failure, stop fearing it. Your body is designed to bend, not break. You can screw up, slack off, binge, crash, forget your supplements, eat pizza at midnight, and still wake up with organs trying their best. That's not fragility. That's resilience. Your biology wants you to live, not just survive, but adapt, rebound, grow. Final quirky note, there's a theory that homeostasis isn't a point, but a zone, like a tightrope with slack. Too much rigidity, you fall. Too much chaos, you fall. But a bit of movement, a bit of sway, that's what keeps you balanced. So how do you honor that zone? Eat enough, but not constantly. Move daily, but not obsessively. Sleep deeply, but forgive the restless nights. Supplement what's missing, not what's trending. Stress well, then unwind. Hydrate, but don't drown. Listen more than you force. You're not a formula. You're a process. A constantly shifting equation. Macros and micros, hormones and microbes, thoughts and routines, all dancing toward one thing. Equilibrium. Not perfection. Not performance. Not peak. Just balance. So here we are, at the end of the labyrinth. You've walked through macronutrients, micronutrients, post-workout chaos, microbial mysteries, and the electric rhythm of electrolyte storms. Now slow down. Your body is still listening. Breathe a little deeper. Let your shoulders unclench. Notice how even now, after all that talk of fuel and function, your heart is still beating. Not because you thought about it, but because something deep and quiet within you knows how to keep going. You don't need to do everything tomorrow. You don't need to fix everything this week. Maybe you'll add a little more protein to breakfast, or a splash of magnesium before bed. Maybe you'll start noticing how your body feels, not just how it looks. That's enough. Let the science settle. Let the lists blur. You've earned rest, not just sleep, but stillness. So sink into your sheets. Let your gut bacteria murmur their microbial lullabies. Let your electrolytes swirl softly through your blood. Let your cortisol clock punch out for the night. The work is done, and even if it isn't, your body is still holding you. Even in imbalance, even in chaos, it's trying, and that's beautiful. Sweet dreams.